Are you into Sublimation? Have you always wanted to design your own files but you never know how to get started? I got you. Today I'm showing you how to design your own PNG files for Sublimation using Canva. This is a very beginner-friendly tutorial. I made my best to simplify everything to encourage you to get started designing with Canva. So if you want to watch a Canva tutorial for Sublimation, let this one be it. So without further ado, let's go.
So the first thing that we're going to do is that we're going to go to canva.com. Canva is an online design website where you could design and download your files. It is completely free to sign up. So since I have an account, I'm going to log in, but you can sign up through the link in the description box or through this button right here. So I'm going to click on login and I'm going to log in with my account. So after you log in, this is Canva's home page. You can see that these are some of my designs over here. But this search bar right here is for you to search through Canva's content of social media templates and posts and stuff. But we don't need any of that. So we are going to create our own design. So to do that, I'm going to click on create a design and then scroll all the way down and select custom size. And then px means pixels, which I don't need. We're going to work in inches, so I'm going to change that to inches. And then I'm going to enter 8.5 by 11. Since this is the maximum page size that I can print using my Sublimation printer. If your Sublimation printer can print large document sizes, then this is the starting point where you could set up the file to be the large dimensions that you want. But now I'm going to click on create new design. And this is basically the inside of our document that we just created. And this is going to be our canvas, which we will eventually download and print using Sublimation printer. So before we get started, let me walk you through the interface and show you the items that we are going to use and need, and the stuff that we don't really need. So starting off with the things that we don't need, the templates tab over here is one of the most things that we don't need since we're designing for Sublimation. These templates are primarily made for social media use, and we will not use these. So instead of being on that design tab over here, I would suggest that you scroll down and select the elements tab. Now the elements tab is the tab that we will heavily use to design our Sublimation files. And you can search through the elements by typing in whatever you're looking for in the search bar here, and look through the search results and pick your favorite stuff. But at the same time, it is also categorized into different categories, and the ones that we will mostly use are the shapes, the graphics, and the frames, and I'll show you that in a second. But I'm showing you these categories so that you can know that you could just select shapes, and then that way you are searching through the shapes, or you could select something else, the graphics, and that way you know that you are searching through only graphics. And this kind of explains the idea behind Canva, is that we use the elements and shapes to make our own designs. So you can use the elements, select whatever you like, and add different shapes, add different text, and this way you are creating your own design. And when you're constantly creating and designing, Canva will most probably generate some search keywords to help you out right here based on your search history. So now that we talked about the important stuff under the Elements tab, this is the Text tab where you can add a heading, a subheading, or a body of text, or you can also use some of the pre-made text combos over here. Let's go back. The Brand Hub is where you add your branding colors and logos, but you definitely don't need that for Sublimation designs, and I think this is only available for the Pro version accounts. Next is the Uploads, and this is where you upload files outside of Canva to add to your design. Next is Draw. This is useful if you want to draw using your tablet or you want to draw your files. Next is Projects. This is where you organize your files, create folders for your designs and stuff. And I think the rest of the stuff here are not really important. So I'm going to go back to the Elements tab over here. Now let's talk about the top bar over here. Home takes us to the home page where we were. File has basic stuff under it like download, make a copy, save, or create a new design, or find text and replace, just like any basic software. The Resize is a pro feature, and I love this feature because I can basically rescale any document that I created to new sizes, and I can copy it and resize it. So if after I had created a design, I decided that I wanted to do bigger version of it, I can basically change this and tell it to either copy and resize or just resize it all. So just like that, it made a copy of the same document but in other dimensions, right? Now this is the undo and redo button. This button right here tells you whether your changes are saved or if your file is saved, because we are working on the internet. And this is the name of the document. We are going to name it Test Design. And the share button here is where you get to download your file, and we're going to talk about that in detail by the end of this video. So now that I gave you a very basic tour of what is Canva, let me walk you through what we are going to cover in today's tutorial. So we talked a little bit about how to design in Canva using the Elements tab and searching through the elements to find what you're looking for and make your own design. But I'll also talk about the different elements that are available in Canva, and I'll show you different examples. And I'll also show you how to add shapes to your designs, as well as text, and how to make a cool text offset around your design and some cool text effects. Then I'll show you how to use frames and make cool designs with pictures of your loved ones with design examples. And at the very end, I'll show you how to download your design to print it out using your Sublimation printer. So let's get started. And just like I mentioned before, we are basically going to use this Elements tab to search through the Elements library, find the clip arts and the images that we like, and then use these to make a design of our own. In order to add an element to your canvas, you just click on it and it gets added. So I'm going to pick these two elements to show you the two different types of elements that I wanted to talk about. Both are rainbows. However, this element right here is like a flattened image. We have no control over changing the colors. If we want to use it, we'll have to use it as is and work around that. Or the only thing that we could do is that we could click on Edit Photo. And once we edit on that, this panel is going to pop up. And there are different filters that we can apply to this element to kind of alter the color. But again, there's not much change that we could do. So if we click on filters and then click on see all, these are all the filters that we can use. You can see that there are different variations. If we want to use something like that, we have the option to increase or decrease the intensity of the filter, but that's about it. If you want to go back, you can either go back this way and click away here, or you can straight away click away here and you're back again. Alright, so this is an example of like a flattened image element. We cannot change the colors. We have no control over the colors of the element. However, the cool thing about it is that we can add an offset to it. How do you do that? We select the element once again, click on Edit Photo, and then instead of filters, we scroll down and under FX Effects, we select Shadows and do Outline. See, it added a black outline. You have control over what color you want this outline to be in. You can do it blue or you can do it white. If I do it white, you won't be able to see it. So let's do like red or something. You have control over the intensity of the offset. I'm gonna set the angle to 0 because we don't need that. And then you have control over the size of the offset. So let's do something like that, 50 maybe. And again, once you are set or done playing around with this, just click away here and then you're gonna get back to your elements panel. So now as you can see here, we added an offset to our design, but this is only available for an element that's kind of like a flattened image. Now, this element is the opposite of the flattened image element that we just talked about. This element comes in color layers, and we have the ability to alter these colors, each and every one of them. And that way it gives you the ability to customize the element even further to the colors that you want your design in. So I'm going to click away and show you how to do that. Once you have the element selected, if it has layers, these color layers are going to pop up, and then if you click on any color, you have the ability to change that color. It shows you right here that this is the document colors, meaning the element colors, but you have full control over changing these colors. If I want this green to be any other color, I can do it blue. You can see that it changes right here. Or the other cool thing is that you can add your own custom color by clicking on that plus over here, and adding a hex code. Like if you have a specific hex code, you can add it, and this way you are customizing the elements to be of a specific hex code, maybe of your brand or something. You click away and now you're back to the main canvas and you're back to your elements tab. So these two elements again are perfect examples of the different types of elements in Canva. One element is a flattened image. You have no control over the color, but you can make an offset around it. However, the other type comes with color layers where you have control over the colors, but you cannot make an offset around it. This is going to help you a lot when you are choosing what elements to work with and how you can edit them. All right, let's go back to our design. I'm going to delete those, and now I'm going to show you how to add shapes to your design. You can see that under the elements tab here, if you click on the search bar, you can select shapes, and then this shapes panel is going to pop up. Or if we go back, we go back to the same main elements tab, we see that there is this shapes category over here. We could click on see all, and again the same panel of shapes is going to pop up. If I select any of these shapes, it's going to get added to my canvas. So if I select this heart, it's going to get added to my canvas. Now, after we added this shape, let me show you cool stuff that you could do with it. In order to make it smaller or larger, hover at the corner over here and then hold and drag up or down to make it larger or smaller. Alright, maybe this is the size I want, so I'm gonna keep it at that. And then to move it, just hold it and place it wherever you want. If you want to rotate it, once you have the element selected, there is that rotate button over here. After you select it, you have the ability to rotate it, so hold and rotate it at whatever angle you want. I'm going to keep it at 0. And once you have the shape or element selected, you have the ability to duplicate it, delete it, or play around with copying or aligning or the layers, and I'll show you that in a minute. Now with the shape selected, you again have the ability to change the color or the border of the shape. So right now this heart has no border, but what if I want to add a border to it? Select the shape and then go to here, the border style, and now you can change the border of the heart to be a solid border. You can play around with the border weight. You can play around with the border type. You could use dashed lines, dotted lines, whatever you like. And then not only that, but you have the ability to do some rounding to the corners of the heart. You can see that once I add that, you change the rounding of the bottom of the heart. And I'm going to keep it as a solid border and go back. So I'm going to click away here. Once again, with the shape selected, I can change the color to be a solid color or a gradient. And let me show you how. Select the shape and then select the color here, and then the color panel is going to pop up. So now you have the ability to change it to be any other color. And also, just like I showed you before, you can add your own color by adding your own hex code. Not only that, but you can also add a gradient fill to your shape, and you can do that by scrolling down in the same color panel that we are in. You can see that there are some gradients that are already made and set up by Canva. Once you click on one, it'll get added to your shape, and now you can still edit the gradient fill by clicking away first and then clicking once again back into the color, and you can see here that you can edit it. Once you click on this color, you could see that it pulls up some options for you to choose from by editing the style of the gradient itself. So you can either change the style to be a circular gradient or like a linear one, play around with what you want. Not only that, but you can also add colors to the gradient. So you basically can customize the gradient further by adding more colors, even adding colors at different opacities, which is really cool. And yeah, this gives you tons of possibilities. Once you are happy with the results, just click away here and we are back to the shapes panel. Now let's go back to the elements tab. After we created this heart, maybe we want to add a text to it. So let me show you how to add text in Canva to your design. So to add text, we are going to select the text tab over here, and just like we talked about earlier in this video, you can either straight away add a heading or a subheading. or you can just click on any of these and edit the text to say whatever you want. I want to show you both ways. So I'm going to start by adding a heading. And once you click on adding a heading, a text field is going to get added to your canvas. And now you can edit it. So I'm going to add my words. All right. And you have the ability to edit that text box. So I am editing it to be this way. That way it fits inside the heart, just like that. And now let's talk about the text editing tools. All right. So right here, this is the drop down menu of all the fonts that are available in Canva's library. Some of them are pro, some of them are free. You can either choose by like scrolling through these and picking your favorite. But the cool thing about Canva is that you can type in the look that you're looking for, and Canva will pull up the fonts that are likely to go with what you're searching for. So as you can see here, it says try calligraphy or open sans. So I'm going for something cursive, so I can type in cursive and it will pull up all the cursive fonts that are available in Canva's library. And I think this is really cool that, you know, I have these, all of them are cursive, and I can just scroll through and pick my favorite, just like that. I like this one, and it is free. Now I'm going to click away, and that gets back to the same main panel that we were in. And now once I am done with the type of font, here are the rest of the text editing tools. Here is of course the font size, so I can change that. And then some fonts have the ability to be bold or italic. This one apparently doesn't, but I can underline it if I want to. I can strike through it. I can make it all caps, and I can play around with the alignment of the font. I can play around with making it a list or a bullet list, and I can change the spacing of the letters or the lines. And then effects, and once you click on effects, you're gonna have a tab that pulls up, and in this tab is where we are going to talk about how to add an outline to your text, as well as other cool text effects in Canva. So now that we have the text selected, as you can see now that the style is set to none, since we have no effects applied to it, but we can change that. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about is the offset, and as you can see here, it's very straightforward. It's called outline. Once you click on it, it pulls up two options, the thickness and the color of your outline. So maybe you want it more thick and you want to play around with the color. I can change the color very easily, and I can go back here and I can change the thickness, and you can see that it gets applied right away. If you are set and you want to go back, you can click away here, and then we are back to where we were. If you want to apply other effects, you can click on the text again, select effects once again, and then either set it back to none, and this is gonna take you back to where it has nothing, or apply different effects. Let's apply different effects. So the first one is shadow. If you want to add a shadow to your text, if you want your text to stand out behind a busy background, you might want to use this. I find it very useful. If you want your text to be neon type, and you can change the intensity, of course. I like this one a lot. If you want an echo, just like different offsets to your designs, and then you play around with how the offset is gonna show up, and play around with the color of the offset as well, which is really cool. And lastly, you can curve the text. You can curve it either way, up or down. As you can see here, once I play with this, you change the curvature of the text, and I think it's really useful in all of these trendy designs. I'm gonna set it to none though, and that's it. Click away, and now we're back. So now we added a text, we added an offset around it, we changed the font, we played around, and we're satisfied with this. I wanted to show you the different text combos that are available here. Some of these are pro, like I mentioned before, but some are free. So if you click on any of these, it gets added to your canvas, and then you have the ability to edit it. Let me add this to another page. You add another page by clicking on that plus sign over here, and this adds a different page in the same document. Not only that, but you can duplicate this page. So let's say I'm fine with this design, but I still want to play around with it and see if I want to make something even better. You want to click on these 3 little dots over here and then duplicate the page. That way I can make different copies of the same design without messing the first. Let's add another page and then add this font to it. Let's change the color of the page so that you can see. So once you add that text to your canvas, you have the ability to change the text and you're set. And you can scroll through these and see if you like any of it, and this can be helpful to create something on the go. Now let's talk about frames, because I think it's a very underrated tool. You can go to the Elements tab and then scroll down until you see a Frames and Grids category. Once you click on See All, there is this whole frames panel that's going to pop up, and now you have different frames basically to add your photos into. All right, the cool thing about it is that you can use it to make family collages, like this 3 photo frame. You can add 3 different photos and basically wrap that around a mug or on a shirt or something, and it will be really cool. Not only that, but they also have letters. So if you are designing for like Father's Day or Mother's Day, you can basically use the letters and then fill in these letters with family photos. So if we want to go along with the Father's Day like theme, if you want to make something for your father, just add DAD, and then let me change the color of this page so that it's more visible. So now I'm going to select all of them and make them a little bit smaller so that they fit, and then DAD, I still need to make them smaller. And you do it super easy without the help of a design software. Now you can use your own photos, but I'm just gonna show you using the stock photos that are available here inside of Canva. And once you add a photo, it snaps right into that frame, which is really cool. Super easy. And then you can use this to print on a design. You can also edit the way this image shows up inside that frame. So once you double click on it, you can either make it larger, or make it smaller, or like move it around. That way you get the best result. Click away and then it's set. And same here, once you click on it, you can move it around. Yeah, you get the idea. All right, let me change the page color again. And then this would be a design. You could add this to a mug or something, and you did it in a few minutes. Christmas is coming up too, so it'd be a really good example to add family photos inside of things. Let's go back to the Elements tab and then the Grids. The Grids is similar, except that it's like collages. So you add it to your page and then you change it. And again, you have tons of possibilities, and you can use this for Christmas, like I said, for any personal gifts, and it's so easy. And if you want to use your family photos into these, you go to Uploads and then upload your photos. Once you upload them, they're going to be over here, and then you snap them into these picture frames, and now you're set. And this is basically grids and frames and how you can use them to make custom personal gifts the easiest way. Now, with that knowledge in mind, let's make a design. Let's make a design from scratch, or let me show you how I go about making a design in Canva. All right. So the first thing I do, just like we started this video, I start my own document and then I search through the elements. So since Halloween is coming up, I'm going to search for Halloween. Next, I'm going to go through the graphics. The graphics is where the static items are. So I'm going to click on See All and then look through these and see if I like something. Once again, all these things that have the crown on them, that means they're pro. You can still use them. If you have the free version, you're going to pay $1 for an item. So be careful with these. I'm going to use some of the free elements to show you that you can still design some stuff like this. Now, the cool thing about Canva is that once I add an element to my canvas, it recommends some more stuff that I might like. So when I added this, if you noticed, this magic recommendations tab opened up. I can click on See All and then I can dig into other elements that could go with this look. They're usually made by the same designer or have a similar theme, and that's why it's recommended. And you can see that they're all Halloween themed, and that's why it was recommended. But if I don't like any of that, I can basically go back and then continue searching. I can maybe add this bat at the top here. If I don't want it to be facing this way, I can select it and click on flip horizontal, and then it'll be flying the other way around. I can make it smaller, and you see these guidelines are very helpful. And maybe I'm all set, and I'll just center that in my page, and I'll add a happy Halloween or a word, maybe this boo. And again, I can change the color to be white, right? Something like that. If you want to create more designs, we can add another page and then scroll through all these elements. Maybe we want to change the search keywords and say spooky instead of Halloween. This spooky is really cool, and it comes with 2 different color layers, so we can change that. I like the black, and we can change that to be orange maybe, right? If we go back, and maybe we can add a skull. So if I can't find a skull, I can just look for a skull. You see where I'm going with this, like maybe this one. And then with adding elements, if I like this one and I want to add it to my design, but I want it at the back of the spooky word, how to do that? I'm going to show you how to do that. There are 2 ways of going about it. You can have the element selected and right click and then click on layer and send to back, or select the element, right click and then layer and then select show layers, and then this layers panel is going to pop up and it will show you the different layers that you have. We basically have 2 layers. So if you have so many elements, you can play around and send some stuff to the back and send some stuff to the front the easier way. If you want to go back, you click away here and it brings you back to the same elements panel. So once you are set with your design, you're going to want to download it before you print it on your Sublimation printer. But before printing, you need to think of whether or not you want your design to be mirrored. I myself have the mirror turned on in my printer settings, so I don't need to mirror it before I download it. But in case you want to mirror it before you download it, this is how. You're going to want to select everything that you designed and then right click and select group, or click that group button over here. And then after you group it, you're going to select it and then go to flip horizontally. I don't know why this boo did not flip, so I'm going to flip it separately. And now you have your design mirrored and you are ready to download. How do you download your design for Sublimation? You go through that share button right here and then click on download. Now if you have the Pro account, you have the ability to download it as a PNG with a transparent background. The transparent background is only available for Pro accounts, but if you don't have that, then you want to select PDF print, and then under that select the page that you want to download. Under this drop menu, you can either select all pages and it will download all the pages, or unselect this and select the specific page that you're looking for, select done and then download, and it will download this specific page. As you can see here, it is ready and you can just print it straight away to your Sublimation printer. And that's it.
Now, this wraps up my Canva tutorial for Sublimation. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next video.